Hey, what's up, Rumi?
Hey Spencer, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. A little tired though.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel like I've been getting like decent sleep, but I'm just always tired.
Really? Well, how many hours have you been sleeping lately?
I'd say I normally sleep like 6 or maybe 7 hours on a good night, and it can get pretty low, maybe like 4 hours on a bad night.
Well, that's not good, man. And you say you wake up feeling tired?
Yeah, I wake up and I'm tired and I'm just drowsy and just groggy in the mornings.
Well, I'm taking that sleep and dreams class. I actually just got back from the review session from that.
Really?
Yeah, maybe I could share some info with you. Maybe that would help you feel better.
Yeah, definitely. I could definitely use some pointers on how to sleep better.
Well, what our teacher said is that if you wake up feeling tired, that means that something's already wrong. Because you should wake up feeling good. So.
That makes sense. Like normally, I get like okay hours of sleep, and like sometimes I go to bed at different times. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Well, it really could. It's important to keep the same sleep schedule and try to keep that consistent, where you wake up around the same time and go to bed around the same time, because we have this biological clock. We call it the circadian rhythm, and your body wants to wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night. But if you do it at different times, it can really throw your clock off.
That makes sense. I feel like a lot of times on weekends or something, I go to bed later because I stay out with my friends, and then during the week, I'll like try to catch up and sleep later in the mornings or maybe take a nap, and I'm just sleeping at all different times of the day.
Well, I think one of the first things you've got to do, it sounds like, is to get a more consistent sleep schedule, because that's really important. And actually, our teacher taught us a really cool acronym to help us to have a better sleep schedule that's more consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, it's SELF, S-E-L-F.
Okay.
Yeah, and that first S stands for social. It's like you said, in the weekends you're going out with your friends and you're out late. But if you were to set some of your social events a little bit earlier, maybe it could be easier for you to go to bed at a reasonable time.
That makes sense. And then, so like if I had maybe things to do in the morning instead of late at night, that would...
Exactly. The E in self stands for exercise. I know you're hitting the gym a lot, right? You're getting pretty big nowadays.
Yeah, somewhat.
Well, it's important that when you hit the gym, you make sure not to go too late at night, because if you go work out right before you go to sleep, that can throw off your sleep patterns.
That makes sense. I feel like exercise in general, I've heard, like helps my sleep, so I tend to do it at night, but I guess I could do it earlier in the day.
Yeah, and you push that earlier, and then the L stands for light. It's really important that you regulate the light that you have in your room as you're getting closer to going to sleep, because your circadian rhythm is trying to wake you up when the sun comes up, and then you go to sleep when the sun goes down. But if you have a lot of bright lights at night, or it's really dark during the day, it can really throw you off.
Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe instead of having the blinds open so the sun wakes me up, or have the blinds open so the sun does wake me up, and go to bed when it gets dark.
Yeah, and just turn the lights off and make sure, I know you've got that night light you like to keep on, but you gotta turn that off at night.
Yeah.
So the F in self stands for food. It's really important that you make sure that you don't eat too much food right before you go to sleep. I know you like to go out with all your girlfriends really late at night, and maybe you should leave some time between eating and going to sleep. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that self method should really help me out. I think it definitely has some good points that I could use to improve my sleep. My other friend in Sleep and Dreams told me about sleep debt. He said that it was something like every hour of sleep I miss, I have to make up by sleeping more.
Mm-hmm. No, that's exactly right. And it's the idea that all that accumulated lost sleep, you have to make it up at some point, and that's your sleep. The thing that's really important to know is that even if you're getting 8 hours of sleep during the day, if you're just taking like a nap here and then only getting a couple hours at night, the real problem is that the best part of sleep for you is what's called the REM sleep, and that's where you dream. And that REM sleep happens at the end of the night. And so if you cut off your sleep at night and you make that shorter, what you're doing is you're cutting off the most important part of your sleep. And so it's really important that you make sure you prioritize sleeping a full 8 or 9 hours at night if you can.
That makes sense. Because I guess when I have naps, I don't really dream when I nap. And if REM is when you dream, that makes total sense.
Yeah, REM sleep doesn't start for about 90 minutes.
Yeah, my last roommate said that I snored, and he's also in the class, which is a big coincidence. He said that I might have sleep apnea. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, think about this. When somebody sleeps, the whole body relaxes, right?
That makes sense.
And the thing is that when you're sleeping and you're totally relaxed, that windpipe here also relaxes. And what happens is that sometimes in some people that'll actually collapse. And that makes it really hard for you to get air to your lungs. It's really hard to breathe. And that's why you snore. It's because your body is fighting to get air. But every once in a while you'll hear somebody with sleep apnea stop snoring. And when they stop, they're actually not breathing.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy. It's literally your body prioritizing sleep over breathing.
Yeah, what can I do about sleep apnea?
Yeah, well, obviously, it sounds like a really big problem, and for some people, it really can be. If you have severe sleep apnea, it can have serious side effects on your health, especially over the long term, and it can actually be life-threatening. But if you go to your doctor, there's a lot of different treatments available. There's some surgical options, but even just a CPAP machine, it's kind of like a vacuum almost that's been modified, and you put it over your nose and your mouth, and it just it takes the air pressure and it makes it negative in your windpipe so that it won't collapse and you can breathe easier.
That makes sense. A lot of times also I like wake up in the middle of the night and I just feel like I have to move. Like I just feel like there's like electricity running through my legs and I can't do anything about it unless I just move or like hit them or something like that.
Yeah, that's actually another sleep disorder. It's pretty common. It's called the restless leg syndrome.
Okay.
Yeah, and really, I mean, from what science has told us, it's actually caused by a deficiency in iron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so maybe if you were to add some more iron to your diet, that could help.
That makes sense. I feel like when I'm sleeping and I wake up and I just want to move and I just can't because you're in bed and it's really annoying.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things that can really be disruptive even for your sleep, and so I think it would be good to really work on trying to get more iron, and if it keeps bothering you, like all these things, it would be good to go talk to a doctor about it.
Yeah, so like if I do these things, you think I'll be able to sleep through the night?
I do, and I think it's really important that you sleep as much as you can, because if you're too drowsy, it can actually have a really negative effect, especially if you were to go driving, for example.
That makes sense.
Yeah, drowsy driving is actually one of the #1 causes of death for people in our age group.
I always thought that drinking and driving was the most dangerous thing, but I guess it makes sense that if you like fall asleep at the wheel, that's very dangerous too.
It's true. I mean, in class we always talk about how drowsiness is really dangerous. But it's interesting, like you said, you talked about how if you do all these things, you'll be able to sleep through the night. And it's true, you'll sleep a lot better and you'll feel more rested and you won't be drowsy over the long term if you have a better more healthy sleep schedule. But one interesting fact that I learned is that just from an evolutionary standpoint, because sleep is so dangerous, human beings actually wake up approximately every 90 to 100 minutes during the night to look around and check on their surroundings before falling back asleep.
Oh,
By
really?
the time you wake up in the morning, you forget that you ever woke up.
That's crazy. So like I wake up a lot during the night, but I just don't remember it.
It's true, but there are all these really interesting things about sleep, but I think the most important thing is we really have got to take care of ourselves and make sure that we're getting enough of it. Because, it's like they always say,
Drowsiness is red alert.